Hey, I am here finally with Mitch Manwell for season 2, episode 3 of the Extreme FF podcast. Mitch, man, you've been around since the very beginning. I want to just say a quick hi to you. What's up, Mitch?
Not much. Appreciate having me on.
Hey, it's great having you on here, and you're welcome anytime because you are an OG. We are hoping that maybe Joe Blitz might join us. We are one man down. My producer, Pablo, has a little bit of a tooth thing going on, so he won't be here today. So I'm struggling with my own little producing as I'm doing this, but we'll see how it goes. On today's show, we're going to chat with Mitch about him and his little bio and football fantasy world and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to jump on into some of the updates for our Blitz and our exchange leagues, and then get to some of the free agencies that are out there. A lot of free agency picks going on today. It's very, very active. I will ask Mitch for his top 5 draft picks. Order doesn't matter for this upcoming draft. And then our pick one segment, I'm going to ask Mitch to pick one of his favorite Hall of Fame quarterbacks and why. We'll do all of that in about 2, so we'll see you in a second. Okay, Mitch. Hey, I'm back, and let's chat a little bit more about who Mitch Manwell is. I know you've been around. I've met you a few times, and that's awesome, and thank you again for being involved from the very beginning. But tell us about who Mitch Manwell is and what's going on in his world outside of fantasy football.
Well, I'm a criminal defense attorney by trade. That's what I do for work. I'm here in Genesee County, so I'm based out of Flint. I do nothing but criminal defense, so I do everything from traffic tickets to homicides. Very busy practice. Usually try about 5 or 6 cases a year. Enjoy it, but it's very time consuming. But what's even more time consuming is my home life. I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Wow.
And my wife, that's the hectic part right now, is doing both. But that's my outside of fantasy football. That's my life.
Wow. And you did tell me off air that your wife is played last year. So I'll get to a little more of that in a second. But yeah, I can imagine having a 1 and a 4-year-old, because I had that same thing roughly back when my kids were that age, and now they're all older. But yeah, it's tough doing that. And I can imagine being a highfalutin lawyer that you had some challenges with that also. I can only imagine. So you told me that your wife played fantasy football for the first time this past season. And recently, when Joe and I went to the FSGA in Las Vegas, one of the hot topics were having women into fantasy sports and sports betting. And I've met some women there that started playing. I know that got my daughter, Kathleen, plays. I have a few other females. One of them is our executive from our league, Candace Box, been around for quite a while. But tell us a little bit about how your wife got into it, and did she only play a women's league, or did she play with you? And if not, did she beat you or whatever? So tell us how she got into this.
Well, when I heard you talk in the last 2 weeks in the podcast, I always look at the podcast, and I was listening to it and wasn't live. And I said, I wish they had a call-in feature I could call in right now about this. So my wife, late last year, I came to her and I said, hey, she works with a bunch of women. I said, you should do an all-women's league. I think you'd like it. Everybody that's in it would be their first time. I'll help you set it all up. Just give it a try.
Yeah.
So we just did it for like $10, a piece. I goes, don't make it anything serious, because some people might not enjoy it. She started it, and she had her sister-in-law, my niece,
that's awesome.
A couple of players. They loved it. Like, they absolutely. She's telling me names that I can't believe she knows. She absolutely loved it. And like I told you, there was a Monday night football game, and she had George Pickens. And George Pickens actually is the game he had 2 touchdowns called back. So she needed a good game out of Pickens. I put the kids to bed, and my wife comes in there and says, hey, will you watch Monday Night Football with me? And I've been with her for 20 years. She never asked me that. And I said, absolutely. So, yeah, she's enjoyed it.
That's awesome. So you didn't play with her. It's just a female-only league?
Female-only league. But even now watching it together, we got the red zone on, and I'll usually have the red zone on one TV and the Lions on the other. Yeah. And she enjoys now. Sundays, I used to be by myself doing it. Now she's there with me doing it, enjoying it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's fantastic. See, fantasy sports brings everybody together. It's fantastic. So are you going to challenge her into an extreme league this year?
I probably will. Yeah. I told her, you did first one, you liked it. Now you kind of you go down that rabbit hole. Once you go down it, you're going to start.
Exactly. Start getting a little bit of you start getting a little taste of it, and it's like getting a tattoo. You get one, you want 8. So that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your experience in the fantasy football world prior to joining into the EFF, and then also jump into how you decided or were convinced to join our league back in 2018.
Yeah, I started fantasy in the early 2000s. So I was about 18 or 19 shortly after high school. I'm 40 now. So
okay.
Right around then, we did standard leagues. That's pretty much what everybody did back then, was just standard leagues. And then, fantasy's developed a lot.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, I was getting into PPRs. And, I was at that time, anybody who needed a guy in the league, I'd be joining it. A guy at work needed somebody, buddy needed somebody. I was just joining.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I started, I didn't have time for as many leagues, but then I started getting into different types of leagues. Like as of right now, how I stand, I do 2 dynasty leagues. I do Joe Bliss, who's part of it. He's got a unique league because it's a 2 quarterback plus defensive, and big, a lot of depth on bench. And then I do a double keeper league. I do my family league, and then I'm in another super flex league. So everything's, and then obviously I'm in, extreme.
Extremes. Wow.
So extreme, how I got into it was Joe Bliss. The first year told me, hey, this is what we're coming up with. This is the concept we're creating. Didn't really take much convincing, for me. He told me, I said, I'm in. It's different. Let's try it. And what's unique is at this time, daily fantasy was kind of popular when this whole league started.
Right.
Everybody was doing that daily fantasy, and that was pre-legal gambling. So daily fantasy was so popular, and I was even doing some of that. So I liked it. So I was able to transition to a league that was like daily fantasy.
Okay. And you got into it, and no turning back.
Nope, no turning back. And what I've liked about this league is every year there's something new. So, every year there's big drastic changes that's developed so long.
Yeah.
New concepts, and we got the exchange now. It's got everything you need.
And I love how you're saying we, because, again, you are an executive in the league. So
mostly you, but yeah.
What I have done to anybody who's been playing since the very beginning, and executive, because, again, they're very, very important to successes. And thank you for all your help and your opinions and your thoughts, and everybody out there, not just you, Mitch, but everybody who's been executive, making this thing grow as it has been. And we are growing. Like you mentioned, we have the exchange now. So we do have 2 leagues. We'll get into that a little bit also. But tell me about your nickname, your team name, OG Milkbone. Tell us in a really nice little way, why OG Milk. I think you told me the story a few years ago, but tell us here on air about why OG Milkbone.
OG Milkbone actually comes from Joe Bliss. So
is it really?
Yeah, because if you remember during COVID time, there was a certain text message that go around, and it'd be a link to like some major news, and you click on it, and there'd be a guy, and he's a big heavy set guy, and he'd be showing a part of his body, and it's almost like a joke. Well, I found out that guy who that was, and he had a Twitter name by the name of OG Milkbone. So I transitioned all my fantasy names to OG Milkbone, and then a lot of times I use that guy as my screenshot, not the part that's inappropriate, but a picture of the guy as my profile picture. So that's where that created from. Everything I do is OG Milkbone for fantasy.
I think that's awesome. And whenever I see yours, I always know you, and I always know Joe's brother. He's always Mud Falcons. Yeah. But I love the OG Milkbone part. That was actually really, really cool. So that's an awesome little story. So now you've been playing Extreme for us for 2018. So now it's going our 6th year, 7th year coming up. And you mentioned we do have some growth and some changes here. And I want to get your opinion on what we brought out last year when we brought out the 2 halves of the season, weeks 1 through 9 and weeks 10 to 18. What I had found in the previous years with this is that if somebody was really kind of eliminated from the playoff potential in week 12, 13, they kind of stopped playing. They stopped doing a lineup, and I've tried to figure out some way to make that better or not happen. So we decided this last season, and Nick, give me your thoughts if you can, Mitch, on this. We have two halves, so weeks 1 through 9 and weeks 10 and 18. You can play any player / team that you want, but only once in those 9 weeks. So if you happen to be the winner in the first 9 weeks, you have a spot reserved for you in the championship game in weeks 19 and 20. But if you had a bad first half of the season, you didn't play well, maybe you're new to the league and maybe some things happen, you just made some bad picks. Well, now in week 10, you can reset those scores and those wins and losses, and you can now hopefully do better in the second half. So that was a new thing we added on. What was your thought when you heard about that? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you experience and all that kind of stuff?
Right off the gate, I didn't really think much of it, when it first was changed. But after the season, my favorite change of the year.
Okay.
Because, like you said, it gives incentive for people. If they're really out of it, they just at the bottom, they might not be as incentive to set a lineup.
Right.
That's anybody that plays fantasy. They hate the guy that doesn't set a lineup. That's like
yeah,
yep. You do.
That guy.
Don't be that guy. Yeah, that guy. So for me this year, I remember for Extreme, the first half I started off pretty hot. I did well, and then I tanked, and I was like, "Oh man, I had a couple bad weeks," and then we had almost like a refresh.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "All right, clean slate, here we go." So I really do like that because it breaks that season up. So if you're doing bad, hey, it's almost like the trade deadline's coming. You get to kind of start doing fresh. I loved it. Yeah. Best change I've seen this year that I enjoyed.
Wow. Asterisk, more applause. That's fantastic. So thank you for that. So that wasn't just my idea. Again, a lot of people have had their inputs and opinions and things, and we take it all. So, and we're probably not done evolving. I know we have a big pivot change, and if you listen to our show, you already know that we're going to a completely different kind of thing coming up soon. Actually, really soon, almost April 1st. And so we're always trying to find what makes the extreme fantasy football bigger and better. And whether it's the leagues that we have, whether it's the Blitz or the Exchange, or what we have to introduce in 2025, we're always trying to find things that are better. Our core product is still these two leagues. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that. But but thank you for all your praise with that. The other thing we also added this year is the RB1 and WR1. So in our league, if you don't already know, you add 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, a kicker, an offense, and a defensive team. That's the normal lineup. What we decided to do is to add an RB1 and a WR1. Now, the RB1 player gets 15% more of his bonus, of the points that he would have earned. He gets a bonus of 15%. So now you get to add another little nuance to the league. Now you got to pick who's going to be my RB1 or WR1. So that was a new change we had for this year. Any ideas or thoughts on that, Mitch?
I mean, I like it. It makes it more of a concept of who you're really going to put in as a number 1 spot. It just adds another dynamic of, decision between 2 guys that you like. Which one do you like more?
Yeah.
What's interesting about this league that I have is the NFL is so unpredictable. And when I look at, I try to, and I'm glad I listened to when Ranger came on here because he gave me some tips, and he's always in it.
He's always in it.
He's always in it. He put it in the work, and I could tell. I'd always look at the games and I'd say, this is how I think this game's going to go. It's going to be a high-scoring game. And then it comes and it doesn't. The NFL doesn't. It's so unpredictable. I think a game's going to be hot, and it's not. So I usually would try that, and it's a hit or miss. That's why the NFL is fun. College, you could usually tell, but NFL, it's tricky.
It is. Yeah, and shout out to James Ranger, and he's been around also. He's always up there. I and a part of me is glad that I never win because I feel bad winning. But I still I want to win sometime, right? Man, we got Joe Bliss and James Ranger and then 1004 and counting guy Mike Woland. Those guys are really good, and of course yourself too. I'm just along for the ride. That's it.
It's different. This is a different than your normal fantasy, and you have to go with a different strategy. And these guys that are winning, they're onto something.
Yeah,
They're there every year, and it's not what I'm doing. They're doing something right.
not what I'm doing. I think I second guess myself way too often.
Mm-hmm.
So there is going to be a change, and I have a phone call. Speaking of an attorney, I have a phone call with our attorney coming up this Thursday afternoon. I believe, just so we know, this is an announcement I'm going to make. I'm going to say this now. Hopefully, it comes true. The executives in our leagues will not be able to play in the public leagues anymore. So it's not a big deal. We're actually going to create some executive leagues also, but as we start growing, we can't have executives from our leagues winning in the public leagues. So it's one of the challenges that I will be advised out on Thursday. We'll see how that goes, but that is one thing that probably will happen next season coming up.
As long as I can beat Bliss, that's all that matters.
And he's not here to defend himself, but
that's why I say it.
That's awesome. So now you did not play the exchange, did you, this year?
No, I did it. The trial one we did 2 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
You know what? For some reason I didn't, and I will next year because I liked it, and I think I meant to, and then it's one of those things that slipped my mind. I was moving into kids, and I got excuses. I'll be in it this year. I enjoyed that because it's different. Another thing that's different.
It's way different, and I'm very happy with everything that's all of the praise I guess we've got from it. So again, if you don't know what's going on here, you get $1,000 portfolio money. You can buy anybody you want. We've already assigned prices or values for the players and teams. Nobody is under $20 and nobody is higher than $200. And you can buy anybody you want. There are no position or roster requirements. You get $1,000. You can spend it all. And then as the weeks go on, the player's value or team's value will go up or down based on their on-field performances. And you can buy and sell whenever you want. And Chris Bliss, he had nearly 700 transactions in that. So you can really get into it if you really want to. But that's happening also. So we have our Blitz and our exchange. So is there anything else out there in the world of fantasy football that you have not tried yet? Any other formats that you may have thought of? This is kind of cool kind of thing. Because Joe and I have another one that we're going to probably try to create if we can. But have you ever heard of a certain format that you have not tried yet?
I've never tried best balls. I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I've never done a best. My father-in-law does like 50 best balls.
Yeah.
Which is fine because you just do a bunch and you set it and forget it.
Right.
I hear about these vampire leagues. Some people talk about. I just never got into it. It just doesn't seem as appeasing. It's not something I think I could do year and year and year. If I join a league, I usually I'm going to die in this league. That's how I think. Right. I'm going to be in this league till I'm in the grave. Other than that, I really like the exchange. I did think I've heard of people doing that before or similar things. So I really enjoyed the exchange. And other than that, I can't think of anything too out there that I have heard of or want to be a part of. I really like dynasties, but I don't want too many of them.
Right. Yeah. Dynasties are fun. You start in 2 of them. So which is great. Dynasty is a whole nother animal. It's way different. If you have not played a Dynasty league, I would recommend playing in a keeper, a 1 or 2 player keeper league first to get into that keeping kind of mode and then drafting mode. Because when you get in Dynasties, it's that first overall pick is not the normal pick that you would find in a redraft.
what I like about two is both of my dynasties, we draft right after the NFL draft. So here this spring, we're getting ready because it's only 5 rounds. So we're all ready right when that draft goes. So here we are early. Everybody's edging. You're waiting for August generally. No, I'm ready. I'm already gearing towards my thinking of my dynasty drafts. So I like that because it breaks it up. So now here in the spring, I got some fantasy football in my life.
Yeah. But that's awesome. So one of the leagues that Joe and I came across when we were at the FSGA, and we've heard this before and it's been around. You mentioned vampire leagues. It's kind of similar to that, called the Guillotine League.
Yes. Guillotine.
So I'm not sure how. I mean, I want to try it just to do it. And as we get into a little bit more about what the EFF is going to be for next year, I'll mention how we're going to incorporate other fantasy football formats into our shows here. But the Guillotine League sounds kind of cool to me, although I would hate it if I lose the first week.
Yes.
So if you don't know, it's usually an 18-team league, and the lowest scoring team in the league in that particular week is guillotined, and they're out, period. No refresh, no control delete, none of that kind of stuff. You're out, and all your players are now free agencies. And then in next week, then lowest again, and lowest again, and lowest again. So you actually could win a guillotine league by being the second worst team for 17 weeks. And then in week 18, just win. But man, it seems kind of strange to me, but also kind of really intriguing to have that kind of like, hey, I got to make sure that I'm not the lowest scoring guy team out there. So that may be on the horizon for us to have an option, not part of the EFF leagues themselves, our own little thing here, but part of our shows going forward is having somebody with the Guillotine League. So that's an opportunity. And then another one out there that is more, I'm going to say easy to play, is the Survivor League. And the Survivor League is truly, you just pick a team to win, one NFL team to win every week.
Oh, I do one of those.
Do you really? Okay.
I do one of those. I enjoy it.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, because it's easy. It's just you pick your team that you can only pick one team once. So you can't. And the one I do is I think there was like 300 or 400 people in it. It's big.
Wow.
It's super big. I've never won it. I think like 3 years ago I made it pretty far. But that's another one where week 1 you lose, you're done.
No.
That's it. So I think I got knocked out pretty early last year.
Okay.
But those are fun because there's not much thought, to it, and it's really simple. I do it via text. I put my text in every week.
And you just pick one team, right? It's just one team.
One team, but you can't. If you pick the Lions week 1, you can't pick them again
at all, ever.
At all, ever. That's
right.
it. You go the whole season. You can only pick a team once through the year.
It sounds easy.
No, the NFL is unpredictable.
I'm sure it's not, but it sounds simple, right?
It sounds it, but it's not. It's that,
right.
Especially when you get later on, it gets more tough. And there's a lot of times where there's usually one game where everybody's like, oh, it's the Panthers versus them this week, and everybody picks, then Panthers show up, and you get 25 people that got knocked out because they all picked that game.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. So those are some of the things that are happening, in the world of fantasy football, and one of the things that the EFF is migrating to for this year is 3 different levels to subscribe for a year-long data, information, news, and then the ability to play in our game. So we have a rookie, a pro, and a Hall of Fame league. Our levels, rookie is free, and you get some information, you get some betting information, and you get the ability to play into 1 Blitz league and 1 exchange leagues, and that's free. You go to the $50 per year league is the pro league, and you get more information, more news, more betting stuff, and then you get a chance to join in 3 Blitz leagues and 3 exchange leagues. And then if you want to go to the Mac Daddy, you got the Hall of Fame. It's only $100 per year. And you get more, and you get a chance to join into 10 leagues, and we don't care how you disperse them. So that's what we have available for everybody this year. So looking to have people who want to play it, who want to try our leagues, who've been kind of like, I'm not sure, it's new to me. I want to well, join the rookie league, and we'll get you in there for free. It doesn't cost you a thing. And then, as you get your appetite a little whetted, then you go ahead and get to the pro and the Hall of Fame in the upcoming years. So looking forward to having your wife in there also this time, Mitch. And so she can go out there and kick all my butt for sure. That's
what I told her. I said, you're going to get a league with me and you're going to beat me. I tell you right now, you probably will, because that's what's great about fantasy. You know,
when I first started in 2018 with the Extreme, my fiance, she was on the league just for fun. I wanted her to just be one of the, hey, I don't know a thing about fantasy football. And she would just go to ESPN or CBS Sports 9 and do a who's hot, who's not kind of thing. And she beat me. Yep. She beat me in the first year. And I was like, damn it. But I was glad too.
It's like that person that comes to the poker table and they're playing that 2-7. You don't think they're going to be in that hand, and they're there and they beat you.
Yep. Exactly. So, all right, let's migrate into some of the NFL news that's hot right now.
Fun. It's been a lot of fun. Yesterday was a fun day. Free agency opened up. It was fun.
You know, I kept thinking, I bet you in the last half hour or so I've been talking with you, there's been a lot of things going on that we're missing. It is hot and heavy. So what was some of give me the number one splash that you feel that was happened, or first free agency person that you thought, wow, that's a kind of cool trade that happened yesterday or today?
I mean, the non-sexy answer would be the Patriots. Everything the Patriots did yesterday, in my opinion, is like they're playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers.
Yeah.
That's not the sexiest answer because they beefed up their defense. But for fantasy, I would say, there's really two things. I love Najee Harris going to the Chargers, fantasy relevance, and I really like Javonte Williams going to the Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
I like that because I've always been high on Javonte after, he got his injury, though. But I think and partially McLaughlin started taking off there. But I think Javonte and the Cowboys is going to be another one. And then I like Justin Fields going to the Jets.
I was going to say Fields to the Jets. What happened in Pittsburgh? I don't understand this. It seems to me that they had a really nice thing happening where, all right, we have a quarterback in Fields who's not a rookie, but definitely not as experienced as Russell Wilson. So, all right, bring Fields in, bring Wilson in, Wilson for a year, and then just migrate to Fields. I don't understand why that didn't happen. And as of this time we're doing our filming, they haven't got a quarterback.
I think that's where Aaron Rodgers is going to go.
Okay.
I don't understand. I thought you should have kept Fields.
Right.
You should have kept him. I was surprised they didn't. I don't know. I'm really up in the air on that, on what they're doing over there in Pittsburgh. I mean, they got everything around them. They need a quarterback, though.
Right.
I mean, who's going to go there? Who do you think's going there?
It's got to be Rodgers because there's no one else available. And Darnold going to Seattle, Geno Smith going to the Raiders, Stafford is staying home in L.A.
The other guy would be Jameis. Is that what they're going to go with?
Well, I'm not a Rodgers fan, and you've heard me say this on this show many, many times, and I've never been a Packers fan at all. So I just got a bad mojo thing going with Aaron Rodgers, and it's kind of carried over to him playing other teams. I just don't think he's the answer, but he's a lot better than Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like something happened there. Maybe Justin Fields is a problem in the clubhouse. I don't get that, but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the Lions here. Give me your quick thoughts on. I think it's a great move. That's Brad Holmes. gets rid of Carlton Davis, gets DJ Reed for $4 million less, and he's the same age and arguably a better corner.
I agree. That's exactly what I thought. I saw it. We're getting pretty much the same. And I like Carlton Davis. I said it all year with Carlton Davis. He played really handsy. He was aggressive. He got some PI calls. I didn't knock him because he was playing very aggressive, and I like that. He did a great job, but I think we got a similar guy for significantly cheaper. And what really scares me is Carlton Davis going to the Patriots. Him and Gonzalez, who I think might be an argument made as the best corner in the league.
Yeah,
that defense is going to be scary over in New England now.
Well, they had a lot of money. Like 150 million, I think it was, that they could spend. So hey, more power to do them to do that. But I understand. Well, okay, if you do that and then you fire Jared Mayo, I mean, he was bound to fail.
He was bound to fail.
Yeah, that's just like I didn't quite understand that much.
And now they're giving everything to Vrabel. He's spending all the money on defense and just amping them. And he's going to have now Drake May in a second year instead of a quarterback. He's got a really good setup.
Right. So what do you see? I'll put you on the spot here because we will come back to this video in a few months. And so what do you feel is the next, and again, it may have already happened. This is an hour into our show almost. And I may have missed something, but what's your big move the Lions need to make or will make before this free agency time is over?
They need an edge rusher. They need an edge rusher. I think that's their probably main concern they need. I think that's the main move they're going to make. I don't think they're going to make it in free agency. I think they're going to do a trade. I think they're going to come up with a trade and go get an edge rusher. I don't know who. I mean, there's the guy from Cincinnati.
Hendrickson,
a lot of people have been talking about. I don't know, but I don't think they're going to address the free agency. I think they're going to make a trade. They're going to go get an edge rusher. That's what I think they're going to do at some point.
So I read this morning, and I agree that definitely they need that. I read this morning that it's possible they're going to try to package a trade with Zadarius Smith for Hendrickson down there in Cincinnati.
I think they're going to try to move on from Hooker, and he's maybe some bait. And I kind of feel like his stock dropped because, they signed Teddy Bridgewater, and I thought they were just signing him to, give him a ring or a chance at a ring. Well, when Goff got hurt, they brought in Bridgewater.
Right.
I don't know. That kind of scared me that they didn't have any confidence in Hooker. So I think he's might be some bait. The other guy that I think that I'm surprised has not been moved, and I think he's going to get moved probably on draft day, is Milton. I think Milton out of New England, somebody wants him, and they're going to probably pay for him.
Did you see his combine throws last year?
Yeah.
Flick.
If he didn't get hurt, he would have been right there with everybody, which was such a great quarterback class last year.
It was.
If he didn't get hurt, he'd have been right there with everybody else.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's amazing that he was at U of M.
Yeah.
For a split second. And he, and I remember him watching the game against the Minnesota Gophers. And like, wow, this guy is it. And then he wasn't it. And then he goes to Tennessee and he had, success, kind of, not a whole lot, but whatever. But watching him at the combine, man, the guy got some skills with all that.
I think New England's going to make a big move with him. I think the Lions are going to try with Hooker as well. But I think the Lions in free agency, I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy or sexy right now. I think it's going to be more of a trade when we're getting closer to a draft or even on draft day.
So there are guys out there, again, as of this recording starting, Matt Judon is out there. Joey Bosa.
Bosa's going to go play in San Francisco with his brother.
I think so too. But again, if I can get Hendrickson on this team, whether it's a trade or just a free agency cut, I also want to see Cooper Kupp come in here. I want to see Kupp and Goff get reunited. Nobody has taken the bait yet on Cooper Kupp.
I think they're going to cut him. I don't think anybody wants to pick that up.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to that being a possibility of getting Cooper Kupp on this team and getting him and Goff together one more time. So, okay. So I'm going to put you on the spot again here. All right.
I like it.
Let's get to these draft picks.
All right.
Now, it's coming up. We're about a month or so away. And did you go to the draft last year?
No, I would have liked to have, but I didn't.
It was amazing. Now,
Did you go?
I was like literally, and I'm not joking. I was on the edge of the railing at the main amphitheater. I was there. I was like probably the 30th person sitting there when they opened it up. And I get there and I'm trying to get in the amphitheater and I couldn't. So I asked one of the ushers, I said, how do I get in there? So you got to get a ticket. I said, well, how do I get a ticket? He said, you got to go over there. So I go over there and they said, oh, no, these are all long since sold out. I'm like, oh, so I come back and I'm in the same exact spot. And there's two guys from Baltimore and Washington, they have jerseys on next to me. And we're sitting there and I turn around and this mass of people are just coming right at me. And I quickly thought, if I can't get in the amphitheater, I don't want to be sitting here for 8 hours because that was literally at noon. And you couldn't go to the bathroom. You couldn't leave your spot. You couldn't do anything without jeopardizing losing your space. So I said, well, screw this. So I left and I went to Hockeytown and I sat there and had my daughter and her boyfriend join me. And it was just so cool seeing all the things that Detroit had out and available. Now, this year it's in Green Bay. I haven't spent much time in Green Bay. What the heck do you do in Green Bay?
I don't know.
In April? You kidding me?
You're not going to get a warm welcome with your Lions gear there either.
It's going to be snowing. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go to that, but there's just not much to do in Green Bay. At least Detroit, you had the casinos that were nearby. You had a big city, you had phenomenal art available and a lot of restaurants and bars. I don't think Green Bay has all that to offer.
No, Detroit's came so long in the last few years. Their downtown's gotten so good in the last few years.
Yeah. And the fountain in Hart Plaza was actually working. I haven't seen that working in 30 years. So that was kind of cool. Okay, I digress. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to rattle off my top 5 picks. Not order, because I think things will be changing. And I'm kind of shocked that picking a running back in the top 5. But this guy is my eyes and can't miss. But I like Abdul Carter, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Ashton Gentry, and Mason Graham. So those are my players that I feel will be the top 5 draft picks in some order. I'm probably going to be wrong. But I mentioned a few times on this show that I would love to go up against Todd McShay or Kuiper or Bucky Brooks and those guys and to see how well we do because they're not right very often for being experts. So, again, I got Abdul Carter, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Ashton Gentry, and Mason Graham. Who do you have for your 5 picks?
Well, we're different. I got 2 of the same guys.
Okay.
I think Abdul Carter is going to be number 1 for sure.
Yes.
And then I like at number 2. I know you didn't say order, but that's how I did them.
Okay, cool.
I like at number 2 Mason Graham there.
Oh, wow.
That's who I like there.
Wow.
The Browns to take Mason Graham. The reason I say that is I'm not big on any quarterback. I'm not big on Cam Ward this year. I'm not big on Shedeur Sanders. I like Shedeur Sanders. If I was a GM, I'd like to draft him because I'd like to market him. But I think Mason Graham there. Then I think it's going to be who else do I think? I think that Tatoria McMillan is going to be there. Yeah. I'd like to see him go to the Patriots.
Okay.
Then I think you're going to have Shamar Stewart.
Yeah.
And then the other pick I have there that's going to go in the top 5 is I think Travis Hunter is going to go somewhere in the 5.
Okay. So are you a Patriots fan?
No, really. I mean, I loved him when Brady was there.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm not. This isn't a plug for the Patriots in any way. But they have, I think, what they did yesterday. I mean, their defense is set.
All right.
But now I think they need to go after the big guy, that wide receiver from Arizona, and I think they're going to be significantly better right off the bat. They got a quarterback. You know, I think the Patriots are making a lot of moves. and it makes sense for them there.
It does, and he's a stud. Yeah, that's a great pick. Again, I'm sure we're both wrong, but what the hell? It's cool having it on tape at least.
You said Cam Ward.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go just because he's a quarterback. But I mean, who do you think Cam Ward's going to go to?
So I think if I'm Tennessee, I'm trading down.
Oh, of course.
Right. So I'm trading down, and the Browns just got Pickett yesterday from the Eagles on a trade. He's not the answer.
No.
Yeah, he wasn't the answer in Pittsburgh. He's not going to be the answer in Cleveland. There's, Jerry Jeudy, I guess, but whatever. So Pickett is not the answer. So I have a feeling that Cam Ward's going to go to Cleveland, and Abdul Carter, I agree, will be the first overall pick, and I think it's the Giants had the third pick. I think the Giants are going to be the one that trade and take Abdul Carter.
Be good for them.
The Giants have that. The Giants are in trouble. When you're playing in a division with the Eagles, the Commanders, and the Cowboys, and your quarterback right now is DeVito. Now it may be Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers by the time this actually airs, but man, your quarterback class is weak. I don't believe that Cam Ward is the answer. I mentioned this last week on our show that his rating is 82, which is lower than Michael Penix was last year at 83. So if he's not as good as Michael Penix, I just don't see him being a big game changer there. So I think what the Giants need to do is get a hold of Rodgers or Wilson for 1 year, bring in somebody on the defense, and Abdul Carter is the great guy to do that. Mason Graham would be awesome too. But that'd be kind of cool. So yeah, you have Carter, you have Hunter, you have Mason Graham, you have Ted McMillan, and you have Shermar Stewart, right?
Correct.
Nice. All right. I guess we'll see how we go with that in a few weeks, whatever it may be. So, all right. And now we're going to do our pick one segment. Now, usually I have Pablo here with me, so it's just me this time. So I'm going to ask you, if you had, not just who your favorite is, because that's probably too easy, but if you had to begin a football team and you needed a quarterback and you only can pick Hall of Fame quarterbacks, who would you pick and why?
This question was harder than the top 5 draft.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay. All right.
My first gut instinct was like, I want to say Brett Favre. And, I don't like the Packers, but I always loved Brett Favre. He's a gunslinger. He's the type of guy that I thought you could have a beer with. And I liked him as a quarterback.
Yeah. Yep.
I eventually thought him. And then I started thinking about Peyton. And then soon after that, I transitioned and I went with the guy that just wins, Joe Montana.
Okay.
Joe Montana, and the reason why is because he could just win it. He could win the big one.
Right.
He's got 4 Super Bowls, and that's why Joe Montana would be who I'd pick.
Well, obviously, if it's a Hall of Fame, you probably can't go wrong.
Yeah.
But Montana, yeah, I was fortunate. I'm a little older than you are, so I was fortunate to watch him in his heyday, and the guy was amazing. I mean, if you have Jerry Rice anywhere around you, you make everybody look that much better. But he deserved it. He was a phenomenal quarterback, and John Taylor and running back Roger Craig out there, and they had some phenomenal players in the Niners team. But Joe Montana, much as I hated the fact he was from Notre Dame, he definitely earned his right. So that's a really cool guy.
Who'd you go with?
Well, funny. My favorite quarterback of all time is Drew Brees. And
I know that. Yeah. I listen to the podcast. I know that.
Yep. So Drew Brees is my favorite guy. So he's not Hall of Fame yet. Not eligible, I think, till this year coming up. So I wouldn't pick him. But going back to my younger days, I was I guess I still kind of am, but not quite as big. I'm a huge Steeler fan. So back in the 70s, they had a guy named Terry Bradshaw.
Of course.
And I sent a letter back when I was a 10-year-old kid, 1975, 76 year area, to the Pittsburgh Steelers and Dallas Cowboys. And the Steelers sent me back an autograph, probably just some fake copy thingy, whatever it was, a picture of Chuck Noll and an autograph of all the players on the 75 Steelers team. The Cowboys sent me stickers. So I was like, okay, well, now I'm no longer a Cowboys fan. And to this day, I'm not a Cowboys fan. I hold a grudge for 50 years. But when I thought about this, I thought, okay, Terry Bradshaw will be my quick answer. But I went to a quarterback who I was really impressed because back in the 70s, passing was just starting to get big.
True.
And I was really impressed by Dan Fouts and Air Coryell and all the things they had going on out there in San Diego that I was like, wow. I was always so amazed that this guy and that team was a whole new playbook. And it was passing before passing was the thing to do. And you go Joe Montana and the West Coast offense, that was, Bill Walsh created that. And that was fantastic. But the Air Coryell, just deep. And I loved it. So my pick, kind of off the wall, is Dan Fouts.
Love it.
Kind of strange, a little different out there, but what the heck. So, all right. Well, we didn't get Paul on here, so we don't know Paul's picks. We don't know who he has, but that's okay. So I'm going to give you a minute or two to just kind of say, again, goodbye and tell us a little bit about what's going on in your life and maybe give a plug for your wife to play in the Blitz or the Extreme League. But go ahead and do that, and then we'll head on out of here for this nice, beautiful spring day we have.
Well, I don't have too much to say besides thanks for having me on. I was glad I was able to move my schedule.
It's awesome.
Always a good time to be able to talk with you.
Yep.
What's nice about this is I feel like me and you are BSing here, and I kind of like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm really excited for football, exciting for the free agencies. Yesterday was a big day. I'm hoping as soon as I get off here, there's some other news that I don't know about yet.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to the draft, so things are moving. Looking forward to Tigers getting on. I'm excited for the Tigers to start playing. But other than that, that's about it. I'm going to try to get my wife into the EFF now.
Good.
Get her a team going. And then other than that, I look forward to beating Bliss. Other than that, I'm ready.
That might be my new team name, Beating Bliss, whether it's Chris or Joe.
The brother too. Right?
Beating Bliss. That sounds great. Well, again, we're here with Mitch Manwell, been around for a long time, called the official executive of the EFF, and he's an OG guy from back from the 2018 when we first started. So again, Mitch, thank you very much for all that, and thank you for popping on today. If anybody wants to, above my head, click subscribe, all those buttons, we need that. We're trying to get more and more people on here. And if you know somebody, pass it around. Let everybody know what's going on at the EFF. Again, thank you, Mitch, for coming on. And as I always end the show every time, is when life gives you a chance, make it happen. See ya, and thank you very much.